old law called Customs and Excise Management Act, which is over 60 years old, which is very obsolete in tandem with the realities of customs activities all over the world. And fortunately, we were able to get another brand new law that is in tandem with the realities of customs operations all over the world. And the legal framework that back our activities is called Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023, which came into being in 2023. Now, our basic functions, I used to give this example so that people understand the interwoven nature of our activities, our core functions. Number one of the very important aspects of our work is trade facilitation. Facilitate legitimate trade. Secondly, we collect revenue on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. That revenue may be from excise, from import duties, from fees, and even other charges that we collect on behalf of other agencies. For instance, we collect VAT on import duty on behalf of FIRS. Then finally, I say core. There are others that are not core. We suppress smuggling to the barest minimum. I mean suppression of smuggling. Those are the core functions that are generally, they are interrelated, and I call them a tripod. If one is broken, the legs will not stand. So those tripods need to stand firm for you to effectively use them. So those are the core functions. But there are other functions that have to do with to this data statistics, implementation of government policies, and other that have.
Okay, the line is a bit dodgy. It's breaking a bit, and I hope it gets clearer. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. But let's pause a while and go back to these things you just talked about. If I can say it in brief, please add what I miss. You talked about customs helping people to facilitate businesses. Right? And help the government collect duties, monies in VAT and so on from import duties or commodities. And also you talked about controlling or trying to reduce smuggling, right? I got a good summary.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
suppression of smuggling.
Yes, suppression of smuggling. But if you come to the same table I'm on right now, you'll find that what Nigerians know the customs for more will be in the area of clearing goods and all that, and trying to suppress smuggling. With that in mind, I'd like to find out the duties of the customs. Are they only around the borders of the country, or the duties of the customs allows it to go into markets? For instance, you find your staff will go into a market and break people's warehouses, cart away, say, rice or this and that under the guise of smuggling and so on. Is that part of what should be done?
Well, I think it is inadequacy of understanding of the vast responsibilities of Nigeria Customs Service for someone to think that suppression of smuggling is the only function. Let me use this term, a very strict language, waiting you carry in the customs job. That is just an infinitesimal aspect of what we do. So coming back to your question, because maybe we'll dwell on other aspects of the job, because I want to really expose some areas of our job to members of the public so that they will know it is beyond. Today I'm wearing white. I can't wear white and go and stay in a checkpoint. So which means I have an office work to do that is more of paperwork and so on. So, but the issue of market rates, yes, there are provisions of the Nigerian Customs Service Act that gives customs the power to enter a premises, uh, ship or search a vehicle or whatever in if there is a suspicion of smuggled items. Beyond reasonable doubt, if there is any suspicion, we have that power by the law to do that. Fortunately, last week the House Committee on Customs and Excise came for an oversight visit to the headquarters of the Nigeria Customs Service. And what you raise is among what was raised by some members of the public. And what they are saying is, why will customs raid markets and whatever? And the Comptroller General of Customs said emphatically that the issue of market rates should be a thing of the past, even though the law permits us to do that. But sometimes wisdom also requires you to use a better strategy to carry out your anti-smuggling activities that will be less injurious to members of the public and that will be deemed as a kind of successful operations. And a successful operation is an operation that it's devoid of any loss of lives, injuries, and so on. So he stated clearly that by the SOP, market rates are not allowed. And I don't think in the last few months or whatever, there's any record from customs markets to raid or to cut away smuggled items.
What about
Now,
those who, sorry, what about,
however, he also appealed that it is not also a reason for members of the public to use their shops as a conduit pipe for keeping or for storage of items that are prohibited either by trade or items that are absolutely prohibited. So it is a two-way thing. In as much as we are trying to restrain ourselves from doing what can inflict injury on the members of the public, also members of the public also have an obligation to be compliant and not to allow these smuggled items to be in their possession in whatever form, in whatever area and in whatever location. So they also need to cooperate with the system to also adhere to rules and ensure the government.
okay? The line again is behaving a bit dodgily. Can you still hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear
Yeah,
you
I
now.
can hear you now.
I can hear you now, but I didn't hear the last line. You were asking for people to cooperate too, that even as the Comptroller General has said that market rates should be a thing of the past, you are asking for citizens to also support by not having any illegal thing or close to within their hold. Let me use it like that. That was what you were saying when the line faded out. Was there something else we were adding that we didn't hear?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay,
basically.
good. So now let's still come back to town. We find roadblocks with customs officials. Let's say I'm going from here to Benin. I'll find a couple of your guys on the road checking people and so on and so forth. Why is that also done?
Well, we have also the powers to carry out a hinterland patrol. It's also allowed. However, let our operation not be a nuisance to members of the public. In the case of any stop and search, it's also permitted. However, if someone is carrying out stop and search and is becoming nuisance to members of the public, or he's using that avenue to extort members of the public, that shouldn't be allowed. And whoever got himself in that quagmire, he has all the reason to call our help desk lines, which are very available during the working hours. We are trying to upgrade to 24 hours. And you can send an email to us, you can call, and we will respond, and definitely we'll act on that.
Okay. In as much as the Comptroller General has said that market rates, no, I'm sure that there will be some points where maybe it may just be a necessity to go ahead and do that. There had been these complaints, especially in the Ogun State area, where they would attack, or rather they will visit markets, as we talked about the other time, and people get shot. People get shot. That becomes a bit of violence there. How do we deal with that? How do you caution your men to make sure that they don't, no matter what, they don't go about releasing bullets, injuring innocent people?
Well, we have the right to carry firearms, but not to use firearms the way we want. We have standard operating procedures. We have rules of engagement on when, where, and how to use your firearms. So if someone decided to use his firearms in not in the format or against the rules of engagement enshrined, then that person will be held responsible for whatever transpired. So the firearms are meant for self-defense. In case if their life is in danger or the life of your colleague is in danger, you can use your firearms to defend yourself, but not rather to use firearms against civilians, members of the public. So if you have any specific situation or specific instances, please bring it up to me and we'll investigate and definitely we'll act on that. But remember, they have the power, they have the right against attack by maybe members of the public who seems to be very violent or also carrying proportionate firearms against them.
Okay. If you're just joining us, you're listening to VOP 90.3 FM, and we have Abdullahi Aliu Meiwada, who is a Chief Superintendent of the Customs, and we're here looking at the Customs to try and understand how the Customs work. And I would like to encourage you to join us at the point where we'll throw the lines open to ask those questions that you've always wanted to ask, especially in the area of ease of doing business, rates, and so on. Let's come back now to ease of doing business. You know, you talked about it, helping people facilitate business and so on. There is a lot of complaint coming out, that we have a lot of complaints about the fact that the taxes or the dues that people pay on things that have been imported into the country are a bit too much. Take cars, for instance, the amount that we pay on the importation of cars and so on are way more than somebody will pay in Benin Republic, Togo, in Ghana. And some people have even moved their businesses there because the ease of doing business there, the duties are a lot less there. Why is our own so expensive? Is it all because of IGR for you to continually declare profits that the customs made a lot of money even with the economy dying?
Well, I want to make it clear to you that fiscal policies are promulgated by government and Nigeria Customs Service is responsible for implementation of those policies. Customs do not determine the rate of duty. Customs do not determine what should fall under exemption or what should be formed under a waiver or whatever. But it is also onus on me to explain the motive behind these policies and to disagree with some of your assertions.
Okay.
I was in Ghana last year and I know what is the rate of duty for importation of vehicles. So what I expect you to say is we have which is so obvious, there is volatility in our exchange rate.
Okay.
And exchange rate is a factor in which is used to determine the rate of duty. So definitely, and we buy these items in dollars. So definitely when you are paying customs duty, in terms of arriving at customs valuation, there will be a hike in terms of what you pay. So instability in the exchange rate is also a factor that affects the high rate of customs duty. As I'm aware, since the coming of this government, there is no, in fact, we are still using the extant fiscal policies still in force. The new one is not yet out. And there is no any instance where this government added any rate of duty to any item, but rather it's removal of customs duty on so many items. We have the gas initiative by the president that brought about rate zero duty rate on CNG related items, which but on a caveat of getting an approval from the special advisor of Mr. President on energy matters. That is an effort to reduce the cost of energy in Nigeria. Reduction of duty on single-use plastic, which ordinarily customs are supposed to collect excise duty on that. We have a suspension on telecommunication, which also excise duty was supposed to collect on it. So I think this government have reduced, not but rather than increase customs duty on items. And if you realize there are some chapters that are meant were not of the common external tariff, ECOWAS common external tariff, that were brought in force. That is chapter 98 and 99 that are meant for manufacturers, those who are importing raw materials or machineries for importation, that will come in a duty, zero rate duty. So those all are incentives to make sure that, yes, if you are a manufacturer, these items you bring in usually come in with a lot of incentives, waivers, exemptions, a lot of to encourage manufacturing. So the rate of customs duty have not changed, but rather we can say, yes, our exchange rate has increased, which also affects what someone will pay as duty. And we can only succeed if we redouble our export. And that is why Nigeria Customs Service is not only concentrating on encouraging or improving its process and procedures in terms of import, but rather also in export. When people export, when people have formal export of dry cargoes, this also translate into repatriation of profits, and which also in turn improves the economy, and the naira will be more valuable. We are working assiduously to make sure that we improve in terms of our processes and procedures of export. We are working on collapsing all the export seats. We have a dedicated terminal for export, and part of our effort to bring in AU, authorized economic operators, some exporters are also some of the pilotees we have also allotted for AU program. When we come to other aspects of trade facilitation, I will dwell more on what AU is and other measures we have put in place to facilitate trade. But basically, I'm trying to make people understand what are the reasons behind fiscal policies, why government is imposing tax on a particular item and is not imposing on the particular items. Now, the rate of duty of vehicles, all these used vehicles we bring in, is as a deliberate effort to encourage local manufacturing. So instead of you to bring in a fully built vehicle, when you bring in a CKD or SKD, there's an incentive for that. You are paying almost 5% of duty because you are bringing it into Nigeria. You are going to assemble in Nigeria. You are going to add value to it, and also people will be employed. So government will give you incentives rather than importing Tokumbo vehicles. So all these policies are geared towards improving automotive policy of government. So it's not something that is done just arbitrarily, but rather it's a deliberate effort, an intentional effort to improve the fragility of our economy.
Yes. So how fair do you think that is now? For instance, this one you talked about having reduced levies on cars that you may bring to assemble here and all that, but higher levies on Tokumbo cars because you are encouraging people to, if not manufacture, at least assemble here in Nigeria. The average person who would go for a Tokumbo car doesn't have a company to assemble a car, doesn't even have a factory. These are people who just need cars to run their own thing. And even now, not so many people will be able to afford brand new cars. Is that not a bit too harsh for the ordinary man on the street?
Well,
How
I
do we
think
support our ordinary people?
I think you need to look at other climes in the world.
Okay.
There are places you'll be in developed world, you don't need a vehicle. Absolutely, you have to say, what will I need a vehicle for? And there are who don't. I have colleagues who don't even have vehicles because they don't need. So I want you to understand. Let's start thinking out of the box. What we need is effective transportation system. If we have rails, we have rails, we have light rails, we have effective buses transportation. It's not cast on stone that everybody must be on the road with his vehicle. That even is not even sustainable for our environment in terms of carbon emissions. Go to cities like China, go to cities like Shenzhen, all their taxis and their buses are electric vehicles. So it's not really cast on stone that everybody must have vehicle or must be on his vehicle because he wants to transport. But if we improve in our transportation system, definitely you might see no reasons for you to own a vehicle.
I get you perfectly.
So go to other clients and see how they operate.
Yeah, I understand you
Even
perfectly.
if you have the vehicle, you will realize the vehicle is just you don't even need it virtually to move from point A to point B or from point B to point C.
I get you, and I know that even in some parts of the world, that vehicle, the more expensive it is, the more you pay taxes on the vehicle. That I know.
On the vehicle, yes.
That's I know.
Go to cities like
Holland,
what's the name of this?
The Netherlands, and
no, not Holland. The capital of China, Beijing. There are days you have to bring your vehicle out, you will not bring it out.
Okay, we're on the same page when we talk about this. We're on the same page, but where the pages are okay.
The taxes you pay, you will not even dare want to own a vehicle.
CS, I get you.
What are we saying?
Okay, hold on, CS. Give me a second. I get you perfectly. I understand these things perfectly. And we're giving examples with climbs where they have all these things put in place. If I'm in the UK right now, in the US, I don't bother with vehicles. The trains, everything working very well. And if I want to take a vehicle, why not? If not, but here in Nigeria, we know that these things are not up and running. The average person would need a car. Like here in Lagos, if you don't have a car, sometimes it's very, very difficult. But if you have a car and you're able to afford a car, why not? If not, let's come back to our own climb and remain inside the box of our own country. In this type of situation where we've not reached the point where we have enough trains, we don't have enough buses, and the public transportation is not fantastic, somebody who can afford to buy a car, why don't we make it easier on the person by at least reducing the levies of these vehicles instead of making it look like you're punishing the person who's trying to augment their own living augment their own living as a result of some of the shortcomings of their own government. Hello? Hello? Okay, the line went off, but I hope he got to hear what did you hear me, CS?
Yeah.
Did you hear me? The line went off. Did you hear a bit of what I was saying?
We have a kind of
yes.
No, you no, repeat yourself.
Okay, I'll just summarize what I said. I said, let's come into the box of Nigeria. Let's not think out of the box too much because we know how it works in other parts of the world, in developed parts. Give me a second.
Yourself. It was,
yes,
I have a switch.
Okay. Okay, I get you. So I was saying, let's come to Nigeria, Gangan, where we are, where we know that we don't have trains enough. We don't have enough buses. Our public transportation is not exactly enough. And somebody wants to argument. It's like making somebody pay so much levy for getting his own generator because we know that electricity supply is dodgy. Should we now do as if we are punishing somebody who has managed to raise some money to buy Tokumbo to help their movement? the movement that government did not produce or provide enough to facilitate, is it not to encourage these people to at least the best, should I not the barest minimum, to at least encourage the Nigerian who's trying to make life better for himself or herself positively? Hello? It's like even this question is dodging me. Hello, are you back? Okay, it has gone off. He's going to call back and we'll reconnect. And we're doing this remotely. As I told you, he is in Abuja while we're here. Joseph, did you, at least what I was trying to say, did it come out clearly? Did you get me?
Yeah, very, very clear. I think it's good for our leaders. And we and our leaders should be singing from the same hymn book. Because sometimes, like what he's telling us now, that there are so many things the custom is doing is to be instruction from above, and as an employee, there's little you can do when your boss or the owner of the job is telling you this is the direction you need to follow. And here, for the safety of your job, if you tell the person no, that will not work, say okay. There's another person that we can make that kind of thing that you say do not work. Okay,
this boss that is putting this as a rule or a tax or something. This government. Hello, can you hear me now? He's back.
Yeah, I am back.
Oh yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, great. So before the line goes crazy again, let me quickly summarize that question. Because
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I got your question.
Okay, fantastic.
I got your question. You are saying why the essence of policy is to improve, and that improvement does not come spontaneously. It's a gradual process. So we have an aim, we have an objective, and we have where we need to attain, where we need to go to, and we have a destination. So we need to start somewhere. We cannot continue to see ourselves as a developing nation, and we're not hoping to develop. So that is the essence of policy. And sometimes if you have, for instance, the national automotive policy, have a span and have a particular year period in which the policy is implemented. After the expiration of that period, it can be renewed, rejigged, or improved upon. So I think let us not overflog this issue because it's an issue of policy issue, which, as I stated earlier, we are not responsible for formulation of policies, but rather implementation of these policies. However, I'm just using this opportunity to explain the reason, the motive, the intention behind these policies. So these are things that we have to start somewhere. We cannot continue to say because we are developing. There was a time when we don't use these Tokumbo vehicles. There was a time when we use made in Nigeria vehicles. There are times when we afford brand new vehicles. So we think that time can also come back again for us to be better nation, for us to be able to afford brand new vehicles and improve in our economy and have more people employed in this industry, and we flourish again. So that is the hope and that is the essence, but not dwelling on our inadequacy to say that we cannot strive to be better or to move better.
Thank you very much for that. And finally, you got that question. But being one who sits or who may be sitting at the table when some of these policies will be enacted or be drawn out, I have a suggestion. And my suggestion is maybe the next time when there is time to review and all that, maybe we could consider as a government doing this, that when you have X number of buses or trains running already, you tell Nigerians that beginning from so and so time, with the supply of X number of buses to convey people on our roads, we're going to be doing this. We'll be having increments. I think we as a people will find it a lot easier to swallow such a pill when there is availability, and paying for such, if you want to by yourself, wouldn't be that difficult. How you say? All right, the network is not very friendly right now. I don't know why it happens most times by this time, while that is settling in, Joseph?
I think we don't. I see I'm well, but I'm not. I don't sit in the table when policies are formulated.
You will get there.
My agency is responsible for Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Are you with me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Network okay now?
Yes, it is.
Hello.
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What I'm saying is okay. What I'm saying is I am not part of the system when policies. I do not opportunity to explain why these things are what and how they are.
Okay.
So we only implement and we do not formulate policies. We don't determine the rate of duty. We only implement as a government agency.
Okay, great. So recently it was announced that the customs made about 3.2 trillion naira, that's revenue, in 2023. And a lot of people were wondering that, how did the customs manage to achieve this in the face of the economic woes the country seemed to be experiencing? How did you guys manage this? Could you share with us? 3.2 trillion naira revenue 2023.
Well, let me start by saying it is a combination of a number of factors. Am I clear? Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear now. Very clear now.
Okay. It is as a result of a combination of a number of factors. Number one, we were deliberate on curbing, blocking revenue leakages, and part of the strategies also is to ensure trade facilitation, bringing in new initiatives that are aimed at facilitating trade. I want to give you a very practical example because we are on radio and I want to connect with my audience. If an importer imports a particular item and its importation cycle is 3 months, and the importer decided there was a delay, and that importation cycle moves to 4 months. Now, instead of importing 4 times in a year, he will import 3 times in a year. Now, if every importation we collect, let's say 1 billion, at the end of the year we'll have 4 billion. But if there was some reasons or an issue that translated into delays, and now he only imported 3 times, then we are going to collect 3 billion. So I want to connect you with the relationship between trade facilitation and revenue collection. So if we don't look at our areas of efficiency, definitely revenue will not come. So the more people import, the more number of times they import, the more we get more revenue. So in view of this, there are provisions that are enshrined in our act, which led to the innovation of new systems that are aimed at trade facilitation. Number one, we have what you call authorized economic operators program. The end of that program is one, to ensure that revenue people who are compliant traders are given fast-track treatment, are given accelerated treatment, are given VIP treatment, and so that they will benefit from that their compliance. We have also introduced what we call advance ruling. Advance ruling is a kind of a binding decision that is a legally binding decision that is given to importation of goods, or classification of those goods, or rule of origin. Now, before you import, you for an advance ruling, and we give you a ruling, and it's binding on us to adhere to that ruling. That is also another trade facilitation tool we have encouraged. Now, we also recently, earlier in this year, last year, we also launched what we call TRS, time release study. Time release study is a scientific way of measuring the time required to clear items from the importation of those items to exiting customs control. You look at areas where there are delays. It's scientific, and it is based on that. You look at where you have encumbrances, where you have delays, and use that to improve on your systems. So that is also time release studies. So other issues of automation also part of issues that you use to ensure compliance. Then also stakeholders engagement. You cannot succeed without effectively engaging your stakeholders, telling them on the need to be compliant. Compliance is very important in terms of achieving. So those are
Hello.
Are you with me?
Oh yes, I'm with you now. The line was breaking off and on. You've talked a lot about the ease of doing business, how it has helped with the monies the custom has raked in as revenue 2023, and we're hoping that we can still achieve that. Is it still possible to achieve that? Because with what is going on now, even as at this year or thereabout, the percentage of imports, let's just use only vehicles as an example, it has dropped drastically. How are we going to help in that area to help? I know our exchange rate is causing a lot of problems. How are you dealing with this drop? Because I don't think 2024 may still hit the same mark.
Well, we are doing very well in 2024 because we are going on the sources were recorded in terms of revenue collection in the first half year of 2024. We have an average collection of over 20 billion average daily collection. The cargo throughput has dropped. Yes, I agree with you. What our revenue has
Okay, I think we want to try something. CS, let's try something. Well, let's do this conversation via terrestrial. Let's do it via line. We're going to call back and maybe we'll discontinue with the video stream. I mean, not discontinue with the video stream. We'll discontinue with this particular link we're using, and we'll just do directly via phone. I think it would be a lot better like that. So give us some few seconds to reconnect with you, and we'll take that question again as we're looking at about 45%. Okay, CS will be coming back to you shortly. All right. So Joseph, you heard that bit. 45% reduction. We're just talking about vehicle importation now. 45% drop in the number or in the numbers there. We're talking only vehicle importation. What about other things? It cuts across, and it's saying that they're still doing very well, and hopefully they're going to surpass 2023 with their revenue.
Yeah, the customer are doing very, very well, but the challenge is Nigeria doing very well. That's the problem, because I think what we should be praying or asking for in Nigeria is whatever government want to do or whatever any agency want to do, you first of all check with Nigeria situation. Nigeria are facing a lot of families facing a lot of challenges, and sometimes you may assume you can even reduce the cost of a particular product. But let's assume a particular service is 5,000 naira, and you decide to reduce it to maybe 2,000 naira, and the disposable income that I have for that product or service is 1,000 naira. It means that even with the 2,000 reduction, I'm still not there to be able to benefit from that reduction. So let's look for how we Nigeria every situation you connect it to Nigeria situation.
Okay, let's see if we can take a couple of calls before he comes back, and you just drop your questions. When we reconnect with him, we'll ask those questions that you'd want to ask. If you can, you can. Okay, That means we may not just be able to take the. Let's take just this one. This person has been trying to reach us. Hello, how are you? Hello. Okay, drop call. So let's go back. Let's try and get the CS back with us so that we can have this continue. I don't understand why every time at about this point the network become rather dodgy. Okay, we've been speaking with the customs rep, and we've been looking at the customs he has shared with us, and we'll be taking a look, especially in the area of ease of doing business, how we can make that better than what we have right now, because a lot of people are complaining ease of doing business at the ports and all that. The customs has a lot to do in that area too. Okay, here we are back on the line. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Aha. Okay, so bye-bye to the breaks. Okay, you can the answer you were giving me just now about doing very well in 2024, after I'd mentioned that only vehicular importation has gone down by 45%. That's the example I have now. There are others too that would have declined as a percentage concerning because of what we have in the area of our naira to dollar and so on. So I was asking you, is the custom still hopeful that they will do as well as they did in 2023, in 2024? And you were responding when the line went dodgy. You can carry on, please.
Yes, as stated, yeah, there is drop in importation of vehicles. That is very clear. And even the cargo throughput, because I want to make it clear to you that vehicles, yes, constitute not really significant number or amount of connection in our revenue. The bulk of money comes from bulk importation, where one single entry you will see running into billions also.
Well, the vehicle, I just use that as an example.
I just want to make it clear.
Okay.
However, even the cargo throughput, I don't have a data yet to qualify the cargo throughput, but I know based on the existing data there is a reduction in the rate of importation generally. However, our revenue is improving, and this is testament to improve strategies to facilitate trade and to remove all obstacles that are really affecting our effective revenue collection. So that is what I think in a nutshell, and we are doing everything possible. We have surmounted the target of first half year of 2024, and we are hopeful that the second half year we are also going to do even better than what we have done in the first half year.
Joseph has a contribution here.
The question I want to ask him, I actually have a question. What are you doing to how do I put it? Other agencies that equally help the activities of custom, the EFCC, the CBN. What are the synergy, NDLEA, and the rest of them? So, what are you doing about synergy just to ensure that things coming to Nigeria will go out of this country? We actually make an investor to say, I want to quickly rush down to Nigeria because it is easy to do business here.
It's obvious that no human being or no organization or no person can clap with one hand. So we believe in synergy, and we believe that we need to partner with other government agencies and stakeholders for success in the area of in our mandate. Now we believe these are things that we are very deliberate and intentional about it. If you look at the policy thrust of the Comptroller General of Customs, is to one, collaboration, two, consolidation, and three, innovation. So at every point, we have reasons to cooperate with, deem it, and do it to the best of our ability. If you realize most of the hard drugs we seize, we immediately hand over the suspects to NDLA. If you know, the last time we seized arms and ammunition in Port Harcourt as well as in Lagos, we immediately handed over the suspects and the seized items to National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. When it comes to port operations, we have collaborated with the MTA to decongest the ports. We have a committee on the congestion of ports, that comprises of more major stakeholders within the industry, maritime industry. So also in our airport, we also see it reason to collaborate with other agencies to effectively perform our functions. So collaboration is very important, and we take it as one of the policy thrusts of the Controller General of Customs. At every point, we collaborate and we improve and we get the job better. And in terms of, if you look at Article WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, I think around Article 8 or so, it talks about cooperation. That cooperation, that collaboration, that calls for coordinated border management, which means a cooperation between customs agencies and even stakeholders. We have the issue of even safe framework of standards based on the WCO agreement, which talk about customs to customs cooperation, customs to other government agencies cooperation, and customs to business cooperation. So we, in terms of our practice, I think cooperation, collaboration is in fact embedded, is within our blood that we must cooperate with other stakeholders to succeed.
Now, in cooperating with other stakeholders to succeed, I'm sure you have a lot of successes. Looking at the one that just happened, for instance, in Onair, and the one at the airport, where you got all those illicit arms, you're able to, seize all those, and you're able to, carry out that, if I can call it like a sting operation. So I'd like to find out at this point, are we allowed to know who imported those small arms into the country? Why are we not being told who those people are?
Well, I am not a proponent of taking laws into our hands. Neither my agency does that. First, these interceptions are product of local and international intelligence. It's not just happen like that. It's a product of well processed, managed, and executed intelligence. So if that is the way it's done, and we have succeeded in the interception, and we have gotten the prime suspect involved in that, and I call them suspects, why crucifying someone? Why will you advocate for crucifying someone or making him guilty when we are not supposed to do that? So our role is to intercept, arrest the suspect, hand over to the relevant agency for further investigation, which can give more leads, you understand, and prosecution. So when that suspect is prosecuted and convicted for that crime, at that point, you can mention his name, you can parade that person, you can show who that person is. But now I'm sure you call him a suspect, and a suspect remains suspect until he's proven guilty in the competent court of law. So the reason we don't usually parade suspects, one, that is not our modus operandi. But if you recall, we had seizures of somehow of that magnitude around 2017. The suspects were handed over to the relevant agency, they were prosecuted, they were convicted and jailed. Similarly, the customs officers involved were dismissed from customs, handed over to agency responsible for prosecution, and they were prosecuted and were also convicted. So I think that is the most fundamental, not really media trial, putting people on trial on the newspaper, which can also affect the level of cooperation you get from them to get more insight, to get more leads on those behind this kind of serious crimes against Nigerians. So it's not, I think, ideal.
So eventually, if found guilty,
someone guilty.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying that, so we should wait. When they are found guilty, we will definitely get to know. If they are found guilty, we will definitely get to know who brought these arms into the country. I take it at that. Okay, thank you very much. And you mentioned just now that for the one of 2017 also that you mentioned, those customs officials who were part of this were dismissed, and I'm sure you persecuted them the way they should have been persecuted. So it brings us to the issue of corruption. How is the customs dealing with corruptions? Because it is believed that the customs is quite corrupt. And there was a recent report that came out and was named as one of the top most corrupt in the country. How do we deal with this? Why is this so?
We believe a nation as our country, we are also battling with this daredevil called corruption. And we have agencies that are working assiduously to also at least reduce the rate of this corruption in one way or the other. And customs officers are not really recruited from heaven or from the moon. They are also Nigerians, like you and me. They were recruited from a society that we are all from the same society. So I cannot stand here and tell you that custom officers, all of them, are corrupt, are not corrupt or whatever. Sorry. I am sure there might be some element of that. The way I'm sure there is corruption in the media, there is corruption even in the mosque, there is corruption in the church. So custom officers are also Nigerians. But however, what are we doing as an agency? What we are doing as an agency is to make sure that whoever is found wanting or guilty will not be spared. That is the mandate and that is the mantra.
Yeah.
However, this is the society we are, and I believe you believe and you will agree with me, even in the media there's corruption.
Yeah. Pierre,
So why
I know
are you
that
expecting
I
from
know
customs?
I know that even in the media there is corruption. I know that since I was young, we've been saying that corruption has eaten deep into the fabric of our country. Since I was in secondary school, we've been saying that, I know. But this time, it is being said that one of the most corrupt institutions.
That is subjective. That is just a passive statement without. It's not an evidential-based statement that can be proven scientifically. So if you say one of the most, you need to mention your indices and your criteria for saying custom officers are corrupt, are the most corrupt.
Oh well,
you need to have your reasons.
Well, I think the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime.
United Nations Office on Drug and Crime. I want it to be scientifically proven. So I disagree with the fact that I cannot say there is no corruption in customs, but to say the most corrupt institution, I disagree with you. And I am entitled to my opinion. You are also entitled to your opinion. So,
Pierre, you know, it's not my opinion. I'm saying no. I'm not saying. Don't say yours. It's not mine. I just quoted where I got it from.
To do that.
I told you where I got it from.
As I'm talking to you, we are over 17,000 manpower. We have custom officers that cannot even pay school fees. We have custom officers that do not have accommodations of their own, and they are also custom officers. So why will you sit down and say we are corrupt? I disagree with that. There might be elements of corrupt practices within the service, but you can't just sit down and generalize.
So are you going to challenge that? Are you going to challenge that finding, or rather that proclamation?
I've already challenged the finding. So there's no need for me.
It's an official thing now. It's not me you are challenging. PR.
What I'm saying is also official.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you are challenging that report officially on Voice of the People.
Of course, definitely I am.
Okay. So I hope the UNODC and others who've carried that report they've heard that bit, that the PRO.
There are some things I don't want to say on air, but maybe when we are talking off camera, I will say.
Yes, I would like to have that conversation with you, and you know that conversation will stay off camera. That is for sure. I can promise you. I can promise you that. But Joseph wants to react to that because he's seen the report. Joseph, go ahead.
I saw the report, though he is challenging it too. I think what we advise is a big challenge for us as a nation, and I want to see custom maybe in few months to come. The UN can go and give us another report.
Yes,
that custom, in fact, with what discipline that we have been seeing and the rest of them, that report, I think there are a lot of
in 2024,
in 2024 or 2025. That okay, this was in 2023. So in 2024, it's possible that custom can be among the most transparent agency in Nigeria. I think that is what we should be working on, and so that we should not dwell on 2020 reports and make us to now fail. Because sometimes in school, when you have a carryover, if you are not careful,
you
will now fail other courses.
Pierre, thank you for your time so far. Against all odds and the glitches, you've stayed with us. I want to come here. This transparency that Joseph just talked about, one thing that the federal government is trying to use also to achieve this transparency will be the national single window. What is the customs doing in this regard? That is the national single window. How would you describe it from the point of view of the customs?
From the point of view of customs, we believe agencies must come together under one platform to reduce the rate at which to have a kind of seamless transaction for importers as well as other economic operators. So we believe it's also stated in our act, and we are working assiduously to support the drive of the federal government to ensure an effective implementation of single window. We are giving all our support, all our expertise, all our technical know-how to make sure this succeeds, because the president was so emphatic about it that it must work this time around. And we believe we will support him and we'll make sure it works.
Okay. And when we're talking about the single window, the national single window, to a layman, to people like us, how can you break it down? How does it really work? Because I know that when we're talking about customs, we cannot do without talking about NPA2, NDLEA, all of them generally. So just share with us how it works.
I think to make it in a very simple language, national single window is about having a platform that brings all agencies of government in the supply value chain under one pool, under one umbrella. You don't have to go to NAFDAC, go to this. They are brought under the same pool for easier accessibility and for easier reduction in kind of red tapes that will hinder seamless clearance of goods and so on and so forth. That's basically what national single window is.
So you don't have to start jumping from one table to the other through that single window. You can do everything.
Everything, yes. From importation to exit.
From importation to exit. If you're listening and you'd like to contribute, we have just the WhatsApp line available right now. You can call 0817-175-6338. That's 0817-175-6338. I saw loads of you had wanted to contribute the other time, but it wasn't quite possible then. But now, if your call is able to come in through this period, we'll take your calls and you can ask a question. And our guest is very much present with us. PRO Customs, Nigerian Customs, is our guest, and he definitely is walking us through how we can make things easier for ourselves as customs. You asking, help me to ask, can anyone, I mean Nigerians, go to Cotonou to buy rice or turkey freely without customs? Okay, just answer. Let me finish this message. Okay, all right. Turkey freely without customs officers harassing the person. This is Nedu. He sent that in, Nedu CIA from Imota. That is. Okay, I'll add this call to it, then I'll come to you. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, Lady C.
Yeah, Bates, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. All right, 30 seconds for questions.
Okay, what I want to ask is this. Why
I'm not hearing
customs
the question.
Okay, I'll let
why
you. I'll
customs
let you.
having roadblock at the southeast road? That place, is it a border?
Okay, I'll ask for you. All right, thank you. Bates, thank you very much. All right, you can. Okay, did you hear the first one? The person was asking if you can just go across the border, buy turkey and buy what did he mention, rice and so on, and come to Nigeria. Is that a possibility? Then the second question.
Custom will not only harass him, custom will arrest him, confiscate the goods, and also prosecute him.
Okay, then we're going to come back to the goods that they can easily bring in now and who can bring those goods in. That will be before we wrap up. I have you. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, hello. Ladies, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question to the PRO is why is it that when the customs sees, I have two questions, but I'll make it fast. Why is it that when the customs sees goods they call illegal or contraband, why is it that their own member will take those things and go home? I know he will say, do I have a proof? But I'm sure he knows what I'm talking. Then the second one is that why are the customs disturbing Nigerians who are traveling back to their base abroad to pay something on at the airport? Where we are going, the country where we are going, they don't even disturb us when we get the food stuff that, but the custom will tell us to pay something at the airport.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I'll ask him those questions now. All right. So the first question, the one you haven't answered, will be Batas is asking, why do we have custom checkpoints on the way to the east? Is that a border? Why do we have them there? And this last call, that when people they seize the goods of people, some of your staff will take them home and eventually end up selling them. And then the issue of disturbing people who are traveling back to the diaspora with their food and all that, that when they even get to their destination, nobody troubles them. Why is the Nigerian customs troubling people who are going back to the diaspora? Those are the questions.
I think I can sum all together and answer the questions in a cluster. Number one, customs have the power to patrol freely, yes. And if you steal a vehicle from Lagos and you move the vehicle to Kano and keep it in a particular residence in Kano, that will not change the name of the vehicle from stolen vehicle to now legitimate vehicle. That is the same way with smuggling. If you have smuggled items through the seaport or the land border, whatever, and you move it to another destination, customs have the power to also intercept those items at anywhere. So it may not necessarily be at the border. However, that's why I said we need to be also strategic in our approach. So you must not be at the border because the borders are porous. And we may not have the ability to man every nook and crannies of our borders. People don't know how complex our borders are. Some of us that are not from border areas just do hear about borders. I was fortunate to work as a spokesperson in Ogun State, somewhere 2017 to 2020. And I was taken to a creek, an area around... if you pass Ipokia local government, I forgot the name of the places now. At that place, we saw a place where you have 80 creeks, and each and every creek can take you out of Nigeria. And at that time, if I could recall, we have less than 10% in that outstation complete. That is just a creek in Ipokia in Ogun State. You have not moved to Idiroko, you have not moved to Ilara, you have not moved to other places, other borders in Ogun State. Go to the north. So sometimes if you find your way into Nigeria, we can also be very strategic and stay in strategic places and get you.
Okay.
So it's not really about it's legitimate to do that because look at the terrain and how difficult it is to man the terrain.
Pierre,
Now,
please,
the issue
please
of,
hold on. Pierre, please just give me a second. Somebody has been on hold. Just give me a second. We'll add this to the questions you will answer.
I hope you will not break my talk.
I will remind you. Not vex. Not vex. Okay. Hello.
No. I know good.
Okay. Thank you. Hello. You're on now.
Yes, my name is Frank.
Can I
Onero.
No. Hold on, Pierre. Increase the in-house volume so he can hear Frank Onero. Frank, first up, nice speaking with you. Go ahead.
My name is Frank Onero, calling from the United States of America. I got two questions for the custom officer. On corruption, recently, sometime last year, he mentioned a spot in Ogun State. An undercover Nigerian journalist took the risk, went undercover and exposed smugglers, a top smuggler who is connected to the IG of police in Nigeria and connected to the present federal government in Nigeria. The person has hotels around that Ogun State port where the custom officer is mentioning. My question is, those custom officers that lodge in that smuggler's hotel, have they been dealt with? The smuggler, what is the status? Rather, the report we hear is that the undercover journalist who went to expose the smuggler is being chased by Nigerian government.
Okay.
And you tell me there's no corruption.
Okay.
That is one question. Second question.
Okay, second
is
question.
on the ease of doing business. Yes, the ease of doing business. The reason why people stop importing vehicles, especially from places like the US and some places in Europe, is the instability in the exchange rate. Well, by the time you want to export, I'll say export now from the US. By the time you want to export things from, say, the US, for example, or Europe, my younger brother is in Europe. He brings in things to Nigeria. 1 minute, the exchange rate that you think you are going to use to clear your stuff, 1 minute is 1,500. Another minute, before they go break, is 1,600. Before they go break, it has dropped, it has increased, it's fluctuating. How do you expect people to begin to do business or imports? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Frank Onero. Nice speaking with you. Okay, Piero, no interruption. Now, the one I cut into, the one who was talking about why you disturb or why the customs disturb, in quotes, people who are taking their things, who are leaving Nigeria to the diaspora. They get to the diaspora and nobody troubles them about these same things. Plus, I won't take any calls just now. We'll, just give me a second for the PR to finish answering these ones. Then we will now continue the conversation. Did the call drop? Okay, while we're trying to get him back, all right, just take this one and we'll do it quickly while we're trying to get him back. Hello, your name?
Sure. Hello.
Hello, hi, your name?
Yeah, my name is Chief Don.
All right, welcome.
Yeah, I have a message for the custom PRO.
Okay.
Assuming someone brings in a car through the port, Tinkan Islander to be precise, and you clear the vehicle because of Nigeria's situation, you now take the whole documents to Ikeja Federal Operations Unit to confirm that everything is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And at the Federal Operations, they tell you that all your documentations that you got from the port is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then on your way to the southeastern part of Nigeria, customs will stop you and those documents because they know it's a new vehicle. Immediately they see the document, they will go through everything. At the end of the day, they ask you to pay. It happened to me. I was not asking, are you telling me that what the Federal Operations confirmed that it is okay? That it's a fake document. They said it is not a fake document. So why are you now asking me to pay?
Okay.
I would like him to answer why should this kind of thing be happening? Because it's happening daily.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. All right, thank you. We'll just wait to connect and continue with him. Joseph, you've heard. React to some.
I think those are very, very vital. Okay.
Questions. Okay, welcome back. Hello.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the ones I asked before. Okay, let me just sum up everything. I'm not going to take any calls to distract you right now. You'll finish everything. The one you were going to answer was the one about the diaspora, who was wondering why they get disturbed taking things out of the country, but when they get to the diaspora, nobody troubles them about those same things. One. Then we have the person who talked about
investigation on
the investigation on the smuggler in Ogun State who has hotels, and your officers, some of them even stay in that hotel. That instead of that man to be prosecuted, what they're hearing now is that even allegedly the federal government is now pursuing the guy instead of the what do you call it, the smuggler, right? So how do we say there is no corruption in the line of that? Plus, those two first.
There's a sound going on. So, okay.
Yeah, the static. Okay, carry on.
Okay. Number one, we have, if you go to our website, we have issue of prohibited list. Items that are under prohibition. We have two types of prohibition. We have import prohibition and we have export prohibition. And we have items that are prohibited by trade, and we have items that are absolutely prohibited. So whenever you are importing or going out with an item outside the country or coming in, go and check the import and export prohibition list and make sure that the item you are taking out, it's item that is allowed to go out. If there are some certain documentation you need to do, either in terms of import or export, you need to make sure that you do carry out those importation, those documentation very well. If duty is bound for imported items, you make sure you are compliant, you declare such items and come up so that the duty rate will be calculated and will be paid appropriately. The problem is we like to be very compliant in other climes, but when it comes to Nigeria, we prove we are Nigerians.
But what he said, Pierre.
I'm coming. Mm-hmm. We tend not to respect the rules and laws of the land. So we have standards and we have procedures. So if you are taking out something and that item is not, in fact, when you are departing, you have less business to do with customs, except the issue of currency declarations and one or two things. We move around the airports and we know how it is. But when you are coming back, there are two channels. I have something to declare. I don't have anything to declare. Scan through the baggage scanner. If there is custom suspect there are maybe merchandise in baggage, we'll look at it and the duty, if it's a dutiable item, we'll collect our duty. If it is an item that is not allowed to come in, the items will be seized. Now, the issue of that individual you have mentioned, he has consistently used an approach that promised I will never join issue with him. He have called my name on social media, and I think I don't want to go personal with anybody. He has done so many things. Some of the allegations he raised are correct, are valid. Some are faulty. Some are fake news. And the ones that are valid, as a responsive agency, we look at them and correct ourselves and do better in terms of what we are doing. And the ones that are really malicious, he should face the person he is maligning or whatever, and it's between him and those individuals, and he has his reasons. So I may not join issue with that, and no matter what you say, and that is my own comment on that. But whatever he raised, and we think as an agency we are wrong, we will agree we are wrong, and we will improve and do things better to some Nigerians, because I don't think we are an agency that are devoid of inadequacies, and we are working hard to make sure that we improve in our services.
Pierre, let me take you back to that diasporan question about when they take things abroad. What the person said was when they are going back to the West, for instance, some things that they are troubled here about or for, when they get to the West, nobody even asks anything about those things. They just go freely and smoothly. What is the difference? Is it that maybe they allow those things there, or generally what's the difference?
I don't know which of the terminals and which of the airports he follows. On the departure, there is less interference with the person going out more than when he's coming in. As I'm talking to you, in fact, we have to minimize the time. I am traveling tomorrow, and I follow through those places, and I know what is obtainable. So let him be specific.
Okay, let me give you a personal experience.
I want specificity.
Okay, let me specify.
Going out of Nigeria through Terminal A, a custom officer with so name stopped me and disturbed me or asked me to give him bribe before I go out with these items. Or a custom officer requested that he wants to carry out his function, and I want specifics. I don't really respond to vague allegations.
Pierre, let me just give you one example.
Let him specify his experience and let him go. In fact, he can raise this issue with me. Let him go to our website, our phone numbers are there, call and tell me the specific problem.
Let me give you an example.
In the course of going out, and we'll look into that.
Can you hear me? Let me give you an example. The time is almost up. Let me just give you a very small example. For instance, going out, say, to the US, right, from International Airport here in Lagos, just not far from where I am. I get there is maybe some gari or some whatever in the bag. The customs person will tell me, oh, this, oh, that, do this and do that. Okay, but when I get to the US, nobody even bothers to even look or check. Something like that. Not that anybody...
I disagree with him. It depends on... In fact, sometimes you will be disturbed on transit. I disagree with what he's saying.
But that was my personal experience. Nobody troubled me.
I am traveling to US tomorrow. I have I experience sometimes there are times when my bag needs to be opened, it will be taken back for scanning again if I'm carrying anything. So for him to say you go to that place and nobody bothers what you carry, I disagree with him.
No, that wasn't him. Okay.
And I stand to be corrected.
Okay, let's move to the next one. But that experience I just gave was my experience, not his own.
I stand to be corrected.
It was my experience.
Just come in, bring in what you want to bring in, and take in what you want to take out without proper scrutiny. I disagree with you.
Okay, let's go. The next one, somebody is asking. We have just like 3 more minutes. It's saying, how do we deal with the issue of fluctuating naira? That you've bought something, the next hour the naira has gone up, the next hour the naira has gone up. Before it even gets to Nigeria, it has, skyrocketed. How do we help people like that in the area of ease of doing business? And finally, I'll give you somebody's experience. Go ahead.
So we are also concerned about it because it affects our revenue collection. It affects one of the dictates of trade, which is predictability. If you want to import an item and you want it for you to import maybe and sell, you need to be able to predict your trade. And predictability is very important in trade facilitation. So it also affects us. And what are we doing to resolve the issue of fluctuation of the exchange rate? One, the Comptroller General of Customs is in top discussion with the central bank governor, which is part of the collaboration under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy. He is doing everything possible to make sure that the issue of spot rates, at least there should be spot rates on this exchange rate. This will enable an importer through an importation cycle to have predictability of what he intends to import, and he will have an idea on what he's going to pay a custom duty and what it will be the landing cost for whatever item he's importing into Nigeria. So I think we are working around the clock to make sure that this is achieved in the next couple of nearest possible time. I don't want to give this, and but I'm sure they are talking at that level to look at how this issue will be managed.
All right, we have just 1 minute, but this will be the last from a caller who had called in. Other calls are coming in, but we can't take any more. This person shared with us how he had cleared a vehicle that he bought at the federal office here. I think that may not be the right name, but just say he cleared it properly here at your federal office and all that. By the time he gets on the road and is traveling, customs stopped him on the road, and at the end of the day, even though everything was correct, he said, but no paper here is fake. They said, yes, we know, but they still made him pay something. He's listening now. He wanted you to get that information. How do you tackle that? Why are you doing that?
Well, in clearance process, that's why we have rooms for clearance audits. It is part of trade facilitation measure. When somebody imports an item and you have kind of issues relating to value and whatever, you can clear the item, let them go, but you can subject those items to an audit. However, we understand the rate at which people are being stopped on the roads and DNRs. We are working on streamlining that process to make sure that it's a standardized process. Even if it is an audit, it will be carried out by PCA officers, and proper DN will be raised in case if there is any connivance with his agent to reduce the rate of duty. This is very clear. If you import an item of 10 naira and that item, let's say, has a cost, insurance, and freight of a particular amount, let me use 20,000 naira. In the rate of duty is 35%, and other charges maybe 7.5% VAT, CIS, and so on. Now, it's something that is you will calculate, and if you see it on ground whether you have paid the right duty or not. So you understand, it's not something that is hidden in secrecy. No, it is something that it can be calculated, and you see it by yourself. I import this vehicle for 10 naira, and my duty is, let's say, 10% of that 10 naira. And you see maybe it's 1,000 naira, and you pay 700 naira. Customs have the right to say, pay the balance of 300 naira. But, however, not to pay to anybody's pocket, but rather pay
to the customs,
to federal government, not paying to persons. Maybe extortion or whatever.
We have to go now. The time is up. The news is at 12. But please, let's try and have another time that will just be strictly for you and the audience. Please, we'll work on that if you don't mind.
No problem. You know, I just have to squeeze myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Even if it's 30 minutes.
Be part of this conversation, and I'm happy and I'm glad for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are looking forward to improve in our services.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've had Abdullahi Aliyu Meiwada, who's the PR of Customs. He's been our guest today on this special interview. We have to go now. Time is up. Joseph, your last line?
I think we just have to continue to be on guide, and Customs should do their work as they are promising, and Nigeria should equally make our own contributions to how Nigeria will be better.
Thank you very much. I'm Cordelia Obe. Thank you for being a part of the program. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, do the right thing. Bye-bye.